in the way.
Right through turns 2, 3 and 4, these difficult right-handers through the chicane is a very, very different story in this battle. It's a Iannone, Crutchlow, Polar Spargo, Joseph Smith, Pedrosa, Alicia Spargo, Danilo Petrucci and Maverick Viñales. But at the front, Rossi or Marquez, it's the clash of the season.
Well, Andrea Dovizioso has now dropped behind Polar Spargo, the Tech 3 Yamaha rider, getting a second win. Danny Pedrosa got up to that group pretty quickly in 9th place, but he's not been able to pick his way through to the front of the pack. Cal Crutchlow, he's 0.4 of a second clear of Polar Spargo, now in 5th place. Here is Valentino Rossi trying to win a MotoGP race from pole position for the first time in 6 years, all the way back to 2009 on home soil in Misano was when he last won a race from pole position. That was when Diego Maradona was there to support him.
I think it probably was. This is like two great boxers just slugging it out, isn't it? But 36 years old, 22 years old, but Rossi is riding a masterful race at the front. But you just know Marquez will not resist one go at him. He said a podium finish would be fantastic after everything that's happened to us. Rossi could say, as long as he finishes in front of Jorge Lorenzo, that's all that matters. But there's a bit more to this than this. Here comes Marquez. Marquez up the inside. Marquez leads for the first time. Can he make it stick? Rossi tries to fight back, but Marquez now leads the way.
Start of lap 20. We wondered when Marc Marquez was going to show his hand. Well, there you go, on the braking zone into the first corner. I was just going to say, as they crossed the line, the gap between Rossi and Marquez was down to just 0.07 of a second. Marquez got brilliant drive out of the final chicane. He pulled out of Rossi's slipstream on the brakes into the first corner. Now, can Valentino Rossi respond? This is the first time we've seen Marquez make the running at the front. 6.5 laps to go.
We ride with Rossi. Marquez at the front, down into the Steckenwald corner. Rossi not quite close enough. Little short straight. Run it over the curb and then into the left-hander at De Bolt. Rossi closing all the time. Rossi is so strong through this 4th sector, but brilliant manoeuvre by Marquez. He knew that he couldn't take Rossi in the chicane, but he lines him up beautifully coming out of the chicane, and he just has the pace. But back at the front, Rossi closing all the time. These next 2 laps are going to tell us an awful lot.
It was actually just the tiniest of mistakes by Valentino Rossi coming out of that final chicane. He just cut over the AstroTurf on the inside of the curve, and he would have just lost crucial drive as he came out of the chicane. There we are. This is on the last lap where Valentino Rossi just made a fraction of a mistake. That was all Marc Marquez needed to sweep by on the brakes down into this hard-bot corner, down into the first corner. Marc Marquez now just putting about, 6 or 7 bike lengths between himself and Valentino Rossi. Rossi claws it all the way back, though, through the Medyke second corner. This race not over by any stretch of the imagination. Rossi piling on the pressure as they come down to the Struben.
Through the Struben corner they come onto the Wienslang. One of the most famous bends in the old days, that banked hairpin. And they're doing it proud, aren't they? Marquez and Rossi, the world champion and the championship leader. On board with Valentino Rossi. 30 years anniversary of on-board cameras here at Assen. Freddie Spencer and Randy Mamola had on-board cameras. Rossi is not letting him get away.
This is down at the De Bolt corner. Valentino Rossi now glued to the back wheel of Marc Marquez. We're coming up to the 4th sector. Moving Mir, Hogerheide and Ramschuk, as we said before. Now, this is where Valentino Rossi's been really strong all throughout the weekend. You can almost reach out and touch Marquez's back wheel. Great onboard shots here. It's Repsol Honda versus Movistar Yamaha. Marquez versus Rossi.
Up through the left-hander. Rossi fast through here. Marquez just that little bit in front as they come to the chicane. Rossi can't come from that far back. Little bit of a wiggle of the rear wheel, though, from the Repsol Honda of Marquez as he brakes for the chicane. Over the line they go. 5 laps to go. Just 1/10 of a second separating. And into turn 1. This is where he took the lead, Marc Marquez, from Rossi a couple of laps ago. And a lonely old ride for Jorge Lorenzo in 3rd place. And Andrea Iannone, equally lonely ride for him in 4th.
Yeah, and here's this big group battling for 5th place. It's still Cal Crutchlow that leads the way from Pal Espargaro. Pedrosa 7th, Dovizioso 8th, Bradley Smith 9th, and Aleith Espargaro in 10th place. Back with the leading duo, Marc Marquez and Valentino Rossi. What a duel it's been so far here in Assen. Nothing between the lap times. Previous lap, 1:33.617. That's Marquez's best lap of the race, just a 1/10 of a second or less quicker than Valentino Rossi. The last lap, hardly anything between them yet again. And as you can see, the last lap, nothing between their best laps of the race so far. In fact, Rossi's last lap, absolutely flying.
Down at Manderven, Drigas Loop, there is 4.5 laps to go. Rossi will close up through this 4th sector. He's done it absolutely every single time when he's been behind him, and has opened up a bit of advantage when he's been in front of him. They race through Hoga Haida, and now up to the left-hander at Rumshop. Is Rossi close enough? We ride with Rossi. Is he lining him up at the chicane on the brakes? Ooh, no way he was going to get through that time round.
Marquez and Rossi over the line now. You can feel the tension in the grandstands. Just over 1/10 of a second splitting the two of them. Now, this is the phase of the race last year where the Honda had the advantage. When it came down to the last 3 or 4 laps, the Honda had kept the better grip. Now, that was an area that Yamaha really worked on during the winter, and Valentino Rossi talked about the new chassis this weekend giving him better grip, particularly after 20 laps, and Rossi not being dropped off at all. So this new chassis, better for agility and also better for tyre endurance.
Down for the Vinslang they come. Just over 4.5 laps to go. Then for the Ruskenholt, Rossi will try and close here and try to use that advantage when he comes to that vital 4th sector. Marquez leads away. He's been there for the last 4 laps. Race winner here last year in very different conditions and a very, very different race. Through Steckenwald, down towards the default corner, the left-hander. Rossi closes up once again on the brakes. Well, like Marquez, we said he's going to have one go. Without a doubt, I'm sure Rossi's going to have one go. Sense would tell him he's in front of Lorenzo. That's what matters in the championship. He wants to beat Marc Marquez in a straight head-to-head. Their real first straight head-to-head for a win this season.
Here we are on board with Valentino Rossi. Closes right up on Marquez again now into the Ramshook corner. 4th gear, almost 190 kilometres now. Knee on the floor, down the brakes. The final chicane. All thought Rossi was having a look up the inside.
I thought he was going then. He decided not to. But he lined him up, doesn't he?
3 laps to go. Marc Marquez leading from Valentino Rossi. It's been one of the great battles between the two of them since Marquez came to the Premier Class in 2013. Jorge Lorenzo over the line in a very lonely 3rd place. It's all about these two men now. Marquez and Rossi. Pal Espargaro now has got to the front of this group. Crutchlow's dropped back 2 places. Whether there was a mistake on that lap by Cal Crutchlow, but he's back in 7th place. Rossi right on the back wheel again of Marc Marquez.
Down through the Vinslang they come. 3 but 2.5 laps to go. Rossi is close through here, as we've seen. Just a little wobble from the front end of the Yamaha, but they're safely through the Ruskenholt, down towards Steckenwald.
Marc Marquez, we know he's great riding under intense pressure, trying to drag himself out of the doldrums. Back-to-back crashes in Mugello and Barcelona have really put a massive hole in his bid to win a 3rd straight World Title.
Here comes
Rossi
Rossi
up the inside. Valentino Rossi has gone up the inside of Marc Marquez to take the lead back. Marquez responds immediately. This is up at turn 11. Rossi still holds the lead. The crowd going wild here in Assen.
97,000 people are on their feet. MotoGP at its very best. The 36-year-old Italian leads the way again, but don't think that is gonna last. He's being lined up by Marquez. Rossi breaks as late as he can. Everybody in the grandstand opposite us is on their feet. 2 laps to go. Rossi leads the way.
2 laps to go. It's Valentino Rossi by almost 0.3 of a second from Marc Marquez. Rossi trying to win for the 3rd time. He's already putting a bit of a gap between himself and Marc Marquez as Rossi got his tactics absolutely bang on. This is down into the bolt left-hander. Rossi got really close to Marquez now, and on the braking zone to Manderveen. Up the inside goes Valentino Rossi. Marquez tries to fight back. That's what the crowd here thought of it. 97,000 fans, and Rossi has put, what, half a second now between himself and Marc Marquez. Valentino Rossi aiming for an 8th victory here in Assen.
Rossi through the beanslag, down towards the Ruskenhof, now down towards Steckenval. This is where he was lining up Marquez when they came into the bolt corner. Marquez fought back. He actually got back in front, I think. But Rossi just rode round the outside of him and would not give way. 1.5 laps to go. Absolutely classic racing at this legendary venue. We've seen some great races here in the last 85 years. This is as good as any of them. But you know, I reckon Rossi may have broken Marquez.
Here's the old maestro calling the tune yet again. Valentino Rossi. Alex de Angelis has crashed out further down the field. Here is Rossi. Clear daylight between himself and Marc Marquez. We're coming down into the final chicane on the penultimate lap. You can hear the crowd going absolutely wild in the background. Rossi about to start the final lap. The gap between Rossi and Marquez as they cross the line, almost half a second. Rossi just at his personal best lap of the race. He's got the hammer down here in Holland.
What a ride by Valentino Rossi. Jorge Lorenzo will pick up those 16 points in 3rd place, but he won't make the headlines this time round. Classic duel at the front, and Rossi is getting away. 36 years old, 9 times world champion, chasing his 9th victory here at Assen. You've never seen him ride better than he's ridden this afternoon.
And this has got to be the first time that Valentino Rossi's really got the better of Marc Marquez in a straight shootout for the win. Marquez, he's not giving up without a fight, though. We know he's a real warrior. He's the Repsol Honda rider. He's closed the gap right up now on Valentino Rossi. It's back down to just under 0.3 of a second. Down into the bolt. Marquez really, really close now. Rossi under real pressure. This is going to be all about the final chicane.
It certainly is, just when we thought it was over. He's not a double MotoGP World Championship champion for nothing. Marquez now closes up on Rossi. Rossi is particularly so quick through these corners, up through the Heigerhout to this vital Rumshock left-hander. Rossi still leads the way. Has Marquez got anything left? He is going to come late as they come into the chicane.
There's going to be a lunge. There'll be a lunge for Marquez. He's up the inside of Rossi. Oh, Rossi just holds firm. Rossi's through the gravel. Rossi's going to win the race. Valentino Rossi wins the Dutch TT. What a dramatic finale. Marquez second. Rossi is the winner.
Oh, what a ride by Valentino Rossi. Jorge Lorenzo in 3rd place. That is as good as it comes. We can't believe that he got back at him, Marc Marquez. Rossi would not let him through. Thank you, Assen. Thank you, Valentino Rossi. Right, let's have a look at this race. Pole Espargaro 5th, 6th Crutchlow, 7th Smith, 8th Pedrosa, 9th Aleix Espargaro, 10th Vinales, 11th, Danilo Petrucci. Let's have a look at this again. Marquez coming up the inside. Rossi doesn't want to let him through. He knows he's coming. He pulls across. Rossi runs across the gravel. Marquez is forced wide. Rossi crosses the line in 1st place.
You knew Marc Marquez was going to have a lunge up the inside. He started this last lap half a second behind Valentino Rossi. You could just see there Marquez was up the inside. Valentino Rossi through the gravel. This is going to be a great on-board. Wow, that was close. There's Rossi through the gravel. He's now having a look over his shoulder to see where Marc Marquez is. Marquez finished in 2nd place. Well, that was roles reversed from 2006. It was Repsol Honda and Nicky Hayden that came out on top of factory Honda against Colin Edwards. But what else can you say about Valentino Rossi? That's got to be, well, he said his victories in Qatar and Argentina were 2 of the best in his career. Where's he going to rank that one?
I don't know, and full marks to Marc Marquez. I thought he was dead and buried on that last lap of the race, but he still found it. I think nearly anybody else at Valentino Rossi, he would not have got through. Got through, he did. But Rossi then just ran it. Well, lucky in some ways, he didn't go through when he went through the gravel. There you are, first pole victory from pole position since the San Marino Grand Prix in Misano in 2009.
I think he enjoyed that one.
I think he enjoyed that one. Look, look, look. He is just sad. One of his greatest ever Grand Prix victories. Assen celebrates its 85th Grand Prix celebrations. Well, it doesn't get any better than that one. A classic, classic encounter between Rossi and Marquez. Let's have a look at it again.
Oh yeah, there was a nudge there. You could see Marc Marquez, both tyres sliding as he got into the
How
brakes.
did Rossi hold it in through the gravel there?
And look at Rossi now, he's going to flick a look to the right. He knows now that he's won for the 111th time in his Grand Prix career. It was Marc Marquez. He had the front wheel and the rear wheel sliding as he tried to get up the inside of Marc Marquez. That's what it means to Yamaha, as we said at the start of the programme. That's a 6th straight win for the Japanese manufacturer. The first time they've ever achieved that in Grand Prix history. And there is Valentino Rossi, quite rightly taking all the plaudits. As we said, that is his 85th MotoGP victory, the 111th of his Grand Prix career, and it's hard to think of too many better. A consolation prize for Jorge Lorenzo in 3rd place. He was never in contention for that victory. Another great top 5 finish by Andrea Iannone.
Yeah, well done, Andrea Iannone. Well, that's 4th place for 2 races running, and as we were saying, it's showing real maturity, isn't it, for Andrea Iannone? He ran alone for most of that race, but this afternoon will only be about one thing. It will only be talked about for many, many years to come. It's one of those we were there moments, wasn't it? What a race between Rossi and Marc Marquez. And here he is, number 46. He's 36 years old. Look at this coming into the chicane. They do touch. Now nudges him over the gravel. Somehow he hangs onto the bike. Marquez gets pushed that little bit wide. And Rossi wins. Oh, Alex Marquez is not happy about that. What have you done to my brother?
I think they thought he was going to probably go up the inside and win the race, but you've got to be a tough cookie to beat that man. His 3rd win of the season for Valentino Rossi. 10 points clear now of Jorge Lorenzo. Lorenzo brought crashing back down to earth with a bump after the best winning form of his career. There is
Marc Marquez. Absolutely brilliant ride by Marquez. I think both of them have got to take the credit. That was a battle of the Titans, was it? That was a head-to-head that you rarely see better than that. 2 great riders at their very, very best.
Yeah, it only takes 2 people to make a race, and that was one of the best we've seen for many a year. That's where all the drama happened. We said it was going to come down to the final chicane. We thought Marquez might have been out of it.
Go. Let's ride with Marquez. They touch there. Rossi does brilliantly to hang on to the Yamaha because a real dust comes up when his back wheel actually gets into the gravel. Look at the crowd. 30. Who wouldn't celebrate a race like that?
Yeah, just 30 years of onboard cameras, and what a shot to catch Marc Marquez lunging up the inside of Valentino Rossi. This is probably the slowest in-lap Rossi's ever done. He's milking this victory because, and why not?
I'm sure Marquez is disappointed, but he played a massive part in that race. And Honda are back and he's back, but 36 years old, his 9th victory here in Assen. And this is what the crowd think of Valentino Rossi. Any other sport in the world would die for this man, wouldn't they?
He just keeps producing the magic performances, and just when you think Valentino Rossi, when he left Ducati and came back to Yamaha, a lot of people wrote him off. Of course, it was here in 2013 when he took his first victory since those difficult 2 years at Ducati. Yellow flares going off in the background. He is by far the most popular rider in this World Championship, and the reason why is because he can deliver performances like we've just seen in 26 unforgettable laps here at the Dutch TT in Assen. But it's the last Saturday race of this historic event, and it's one we'll never ever forget.
Dead right. That's what the team think. But it's all about one man. You can produce great motorcycles, you can have great crew chiefs, you can have great mechanics, and of course they're important, but sometimes somebody in the saddle has to pull something special out, and he's just the one man that's capable of doing that every single time.
Well, he came into this weekend knowing he had to sort out his qualifying performances. He did that with a brilliant pole position yesterday, and he's followed it up with one of the best victories of his 20 years in this World Championship. while we were talking about Rossi, Marquez, Lorenzo, a bit further down the field quickly.
Did anything happen there?
Iannone was fourth. Paul Espargaro got the better of that brilliant battle for fifth. Crutchlow sixth, Smith seventh, Danny Pedrosa eighth, and it was a late Espargaro, Maverick, Vinales, Petrucci, Dovizioso, Redding, Hernandez, and Basby, your point scoring finish. I wonder what happened to Andrea Dovizioso. He dropped back to 12th place in the last couple of laps, but it's all about one man, the number 46. Wow.
Wow, yeah, I think that's all you can say. We can watch this all day long. Yeah, there's the nudge. He pushes him on. You look when it hits the gravel, then bang.
What will be going through Rossi's mind there is be thinking, oh no, Marquez is going to come out the right-hand side of my shot and win the race here.
He's already looking as he's hitting the gravel where Marquez is, isn't he? Just to make sure that he already can pull the wheelie as he goes across the line. If that happened to anybody else, they'd just be thanking their lucky stars they stayed on.
You knew when Marquez closed that half a second gap, though, he was going to have a lunge up the inside of Valentino Rossi. You'd have been disappointed if he didn't. Marc Marquez, he's never a rider that's ever given up an opportunity to try and overtake. Disappointment, though, for Jorge Lorenzo. Back on the podium, but a chance to win 5 in a row eludes him here in Assen.
There's Jorge Lorenzo. No 5th successive win, but a 3rd place for Lorenzo.
Well, Jorge, you started from 8th place on the grid. You managed to go into 3rd. A bit of a lonely ride, but are you happy with it considering how the weekend's gone?
Yeah, it's a very good result, knowing that the situation was difficult, you know, starting in 8th place. I had to make a good start and incredible first lap. I overtook so many riders in the first lap. But then I realized that I didn't have the pace of Valentino and Marc, and I had to fight to don't lose so many, to don't drop so much the pace and finish and save this 3rd place. That is very good for the championship.
Thank you very much, Jorge.
His face tells you he's disappointed, but after the weekend he'd had, you know, with everything going on at the front, but the start he made, and that's pretty consistent, isn't it? 4 wins and then a 3rd place. There's only 10 points in the championship. It's still a great performance by Jorge Lorenzo. But yeah, I think he's been disappointed with the weekend. Nice to see him shaking hands with all Valentino Rossi's pit crew. I'll tell you what, that wouldn't have happened a few years ago, would it? And that wall was built down the middle of the garage and everything. That's a very different story. What a performance, though, by Marc Marquez. 2nd place.
Well, Marc, there are so many things we can ask you about this race, but I think it's this final catching up and then what was going through your head going into that final corner.
Yeah, you know, this final corner, always happened this thing, but was tight. I think I did a good job because I gained the position and I was inside. But then, you know, when Valentino saw that, create the touch and then he cut the corner. But okay, we will see what happened now. But yeah, happy to come back on the podium. But of course, I would like to come back first because I think I did a good last lap.
Thank you very much, Marc.
I think he's 100% happy about the chicane, do you? But he's done it enough times himself, hasn't he? And yeah, I think the touch. Well, anyway, I don't think we want to surmise about that at the moment because it was such a great race.
Well, he says that Rossi leaned on him in the final corner, but that's kind of what you have to expect.
Yeah, he wasn't going to expect him to say, thank you very much, why don't you come through and win the race, does he?
Well, he's not going to leave the door wide open and say, here you go, mate, have a victory.
Yeah. Oh, what a brilliant day of racing here in Assen. It never lets you down, this circuit. The rain has stayed away. We have seen 3 superb races. But the headlines would be about one man, and that one man is a 36-year-old Italian by the name of Valentino Rossi.
Well, Valentino, I think after Qatar and even after Argentina, we asked you, was that the best race of your career? We've got to ask you again, and what was going through your head when Marc came up the inside?
Yeah, Sicily, I don't know, but this one is very important because I was competitive for all the weekend and I start from the pole position. I push a lot for all the race and my pace was very strong, but Marquez came with me. So I know that with him is always difficult on the last lap. So I try to play all my card. And I did the two last laps very strong. And after Marc tried to to entry in the chicane, but I was already into the corner and touched me, and I have to cut. So 25 points, very important, but especially a great victory here in Assen.
Thank you very much, Vale.
Yeah, he won't be drawn of it's his greatest ever Grand Prix victory, but it was one of the great jewels, isn't it, of Grand Prix racing. Fabulous. Two men absolutely on the limit.
Well, that was a big shock as well. They both had completely different opinions of what happened at the final chicane.
Surprised
about that.
Yeah.
Well, Valentino Rossi did say that he was in the corner, and that is what it looked like. It was a brave move by Marc Marquez. We know he's a very aggressive rider, and I'm sure race direction, there's no need to look at that whatsoever.
It doesn't look like they are. I think we'd have been told already, no.
It's the last corner.
Last corner racing incident, wasn't it?
Last corner of the last lap. That's what happened.
And I tell you what, if it had been reversal roles, Marc Marquez would have done exactly the same, wouldn't he? Well, we've got the podium ceremony to come. I hope you've enjoyed Assen as much as we have. It's been a superb day of racing once again. You do wonder where MotoGP can end up, don't you? Because the races in all three classes have been stupendous this afternoon. But all the headlines will be about one person, as they have been probably for the last 15 years in Grand Prix racing. They're about an Italian by the name of Valentino Rossi. That was a superb battle. Here they come then onto the podium. In third place, Jorge Lorenzo after a great start. In second place, Marc Marquez. But at the top step of the podium for the 9th time here in Assen, Valentino Rossi. What a race, what a result also for Yamaha.
Yep, 6th successive victory for Yamaha, the 7th win in 8 races in 2015. A shake of the hand with Lynn Jarvis and Marc Marquez there. The Constructor Trophy about to be handed over to Yamaha yet again. What a season it's been for the Japanese factory. They only won 4 races in the whole of last season. Honda dominated the championship with 14 out of 18 victories, but 7 out of 8 so far have gone to Yamaha, courtesy of 4 to Lorenzo and 3 to Valentino Rossi.
There's Jorge Lorenzo receiving his trophy for 3rd place. He didn't make it 5 in a row, but he picked up 16 precious points. There's only 10 points between him and Rossi in the championship. Well, it's at 9 points he dropped this time round, but that can change dramatically. Great ride by Lorenzo, especially he had to start from that 8th place on the grid.
Yeah, Lorenzo did all he could. He knew he had to get a great start. That's what he did. He knew he had to be aggressive on the first lap. That's exactly what he did. He came up from 8th to 3rd, but just did not have the pace of Marc Marquez and the man to his left on the podium. There's the 2nd place trophy for Marc Marquez. Back on the podium for the first time since, remarkably, his 2nd place in Jerez.
Wow. Yeah, of course. Mugello and Catalonia. But for the 9th time on the top step of the podium here in Assen, he's 36 years old. He's increased his lead in the World Championship to 10 points. There is only one, Valentino Rossi. Salute the championship leader. Salute all 3 on the podium, especially the first 2. Classic Grand Prix motorcycle racing at a legendary venue. It's a Saturday we won't forget in a hurry. Lynn Jarvis is trying to leave the podium, look, and they're not letting him because they're going to pour champagne all down his head and into his shirt, I can promise you. Oh, has he escaped? No, he hasn't.
Well, Valentino nearly got him in a headlock there, didn't he? He's like, no, you're not getting away with this. Here we go.
Yeah, he's holding it. You signed him. You got to take what goes. Marquez and Rossi. I think Marquez is a little bit cool, don't you? That's been warm embraces, has there?
Well, he made it quite clear, didn't he, when he spoke to Dylan in Parc Fermé,
Yeah.
that he felt he had the inside line and he was ahead on track. So, be interesting to see what he says in his post-race comments with the media. Of course, you'll be talking to him pretty soon in the post-race press conference.
It will be. Well, they're going to be differing views, aren't they? That's going to be no different. Let's be honest, most of the question marks have come against Marquez in more cases than Rossi. So,
well, they're both two really, really hard, aggressive racers. That's what you need to do to succeed at this level. This time it was Marc Marquez that lost out. Next time it will probably be Marquez that comes out on top.
well, 15 days' time, not such a long trip. Very different type of circuit. Round 9 of the World Championship. We're at the Sachsenring in Germany. But it's an area very like this. It's absolutely steeped in the tradition of Grand Prix motorcycle racing. They're as enthusiastic at the Sachsenring as they are here in Assen. Both legendary venues. Confirmation, Valentino Rossi wins his 3rd Grand Prix of the season. At the end, it was over a second advantage. That doesn't tell anything of the race. Lonely ride for Lorenzo Agnanoni. Paul Espargaro did a brilliant job fighting off the challenge of Cal Crutchlow and Bradley Smith, with Danny Pedrosa, after that crash in the morning, worn up, down in 8th place. Aleix Espargaro in 9th, and Maverick Vinales on the Suzuki in 10th. Danilo Petrucci, Andrea Dovizioso, disappointing for him. Scott Redding, Yoni Hernandez, and Loris Baz picking up a single point. Non-point scorers: Nicky Hayden, Alvaro Bautista, Mike DiMeglio, and Marco Melandri. And a few crashes. Jack Miller, one of them, Hector Barbera. So a 10-point advantage now. Valentino Rossi holds over Jorge Lorenzo. Andrea Iannone in 3rd place. Marc Marquez in 4th. Andrea Dovizioso drops to 5th. Bradley Smith hangs on to 6th place. Cal Crutchlow 7th. Paul Espargaro 8th. And Maverick Vinales in 9th place. This is after 8 rounds of the championship. And then Danny Pedrosa, Danilo Petrucci, Aleix Espargaro, Scott Redding, Yoni Hernandez, Hector Barbera. No points for him today. Loris Baz, Alvaro Bautista. No points also for Jack Miller. Another faller was Stefan Bradl. Kelly Pirro, the Ducati wildcard rider. No, not riding here today. Nicky Hayden, Eugene Lafferty, crash for him. And Oyama, of course, he replaced Pedrosa when he was out with that arm pump injury. Constructors' Championship. Yamaha lead the way from Honda, but Honda have overtaken Ducati into 2nd place. 2-point advantage. And Suzuki, Yamaha Forward Racing, Aprilia and ART. Teams Championship. Surely it's got to be the Movistar Yamaha team. It is. And a fairly big advantage over the Ducati team, with Repsol Honda team in 3rd place. Monster Tech 3 Yamaha. Team Suzuki X-Star, Octo Pramac Racing, CWM LCR Honda, Mark VDS, and Athena Forward Racing. That is your top 9. Avintia Racing, Aspar, Aprilia Racing, Emotion, Iota Racing team, with that single point from Alex De Angelis. Well, 85 runnings, 85 races we've seen at the Dutch TT. None a lot better than that. And Hector Barbera, despite the crash, still leads the way in the open class. But Loris Baz is closing on him. Just 2 points between them as we go into the halfway stage of the season at the Sachsenring in 15 days' time. So what an afternoon we've had at Assen. The classic duel. Rossi versus Marquez in the sunshine. Sit back and enjoy with the 97,000 fans. See you in a couple of weeks at the Sachsenring in Germany.